When one thinks about the executive class design, what?
I need to fix my framing.
What do you mean? Are you using Kako settings? Yeah? Okay, take two. When one thinks about the executive class sedans, an image of the S-Class, maybe the 7 Series, or perhaps the A8 probably comes to mind. And why not? Those German cars are technologically advanced machines. Beautiful. So how does this Italian masterpiece compete? Let's find out in this episode of Behind the Wheel with the Maserati Quattroporte Gran Lusso. So I know what you're thinking. What's the motorcycle guy doing in this car channel? Well, first of all, Kako hijacked my channel a couple of weeks ago, so I thought I would do the same. Plus, between the two of us, I'm the better driver. Seriously. Allow me to explain. Okay, enough of that. Now it's time for the business at hand. The Maserati Quattroporte Gran Lusso. Let's start with the exterior. Let's start with the styling of the car. I mean, it's undeniably Italian, but it's not so loud that it attracts attention right away. In fact, it can kind of blend in with the other full-size sedans out there until you really look at it. She gets more beautiful by the second. In fact, it's the ideal relationship because you look at it and you see the finer details of the car, and that's when you really appreciate it even more. And this is the iconic Maserati colorway, the Blu Passione. I don't think I need to translate that. This is my favorite angle of the car, straight forward. I love looking at the iconic grille and of course the trident right there of Maserati, and even the way the headlights kind of flow into the rest of the body. I just love it. It's beautiful. Over on the side, we have the chrome vents on the front fenders, which is very Maserati. Of course, Gran Lusso translates to grand luxury. And when I show you the interior, you'll understand why. I typically don't like chrome, but these little accents work well for this car. You have the trident on the C-pillar, and just the way everything comes together from the side, it's almost as gorgeous as she is from the front. Over at the rear, this is where a couple of squats probably would have done wonders. Don't get me wrong, it still looks good, but just not as special as the side and the front of the car. I do love the chrome-plated dual-pipe exhausts right there. It makes it pop a little bit more, but I don't love this, the rear view camera. Probably could have been hidden somewhere else. Kind of just sticks out there a little bit too much for me. Now, the boot is pretty spacious. Whether you're going to put golf clubs, suitcases, it can fit here no problem. Underneath, you have the spare tire and some basic tools. In fact, the boot is pretty big that I think it could be Kako's apartment. And it even provides you with a 12-volt socket right over here. And of course, it's automatic. You've got 20-inch wheels with Pirelli P0s, the disc brakes front and back with the red calipers. So sitting in the back seat of the car, you don't really have controls of the infotainment or maybe even the climate, except for these vents right here that you can adjust. So if you want to change the music that is playing, you literally have to say, "Excuse me, Mr. Chauffeur, can you change the track, please?" No, change it again. Change it again. Hey, Cardo, next track. Cardo? I don't know, it's not really working. But you are treated to a nice, comfortable seat wrapped with Italian leather and this special Zegna fabric. And it fits 2 people in the back comfortably, maybe 3 if the person sitting here is a child or maybe Kako. Except there's a little bit of a high tunnel right here, which could cause some issues for a bigger child like Jack. You do have a 12-volt socket and a USB as well back here. Something that I wish was a little bit more smooth or a little bit more elegant was this. You know what I mean? Like these cup holders. Like it should have been more like smooth opening. But I mean like this. Come on, man. It could have been better than that. Now, there is a lot of legroom, especially for a normal human being like myself. Like, I can cross my legs like this and just still be comfortable. Now, I know what you're saying. Like, usually when you watch videos when Kako's seated in the back seat of cars on AutoDeal, it looks like he's sitting on first class regardless of what car he uses. It's because he's 4'11". Now, for normal human beings like myself, this is still pretty comfortable. The doors have proximity touch, so I just have to stand close to it and pretend I'm about to open, and it unlocks. And check this out. The windows are frameless, both the front and the rear. I think that's pretty cool, don't you think? Look at that. Alrighty. Over the front, you have a multi-function 3-spoke steering wheel, which you can adjust right here electronically, of course. Ooh, kinda cool. Look at that. I'm gonna start playing with this a little bit too much. Anyway, here you have, of course, the cruise control. You can adjust some of the stuff that in the infotainment system. And it even has a voice control, which I don't really know how to use just yet. The gauges look really classy with some modern technology. The analog display with the digital in the center, where all sorts of different information is provided for you. The infotainment is called the MTC Plus, or Maserati Touch Control Plus. It's an 8.4-inch touchscreen, and you get navigation, radio, there's an SD card reader, the USB, auxiliary in, Apple chip, climate control, car setup, etc., etc., etc. Of course, you can connect your phone no problem as well. You can also control things using these dials right here in the center console. There's a little Maserati clock as well for the extra touch of class. The sound system is top-notch. Harman Kardon 10-speaker system pumping out 900 watts in case you want other motorists to hear what you're listening to. And look at this. This is how compartments are supposed to open in this price range of vehicles. See? Nice and smooth. Look at that. Right? Come on. Come on. Wow. I've never really sat in a car with vented seats before. It's really pleasant. I've sat in a car with heated seats, but in the Philippines, you don't want that, right? But vented seats? Nice. So we talked about the styling, we talked about the luxuriousness of the interior and some of the tech, but this is where the magic happens. The 3-liter twin-turbo V6 Ferrari engine. Manufactured in Maranello. Well, the car is from Modena, which is really just kind of next door. But that, my friends, is what makes this car really special. Now, here's the truth. It's not a very fuel-efficient car. But if you own it, if you're driving it, you probably don't really care. Okay, so I have a little bit of a confession to make. When I first took the car out of the dealership, I honestly was a little bit intimidated. You know, it's been a while since I've driven a car that's worth maybe 5 times more than my first apartment. So I was kind of nervous, I was kind of cautious driving it out of the dealership, but it didn't take me that long to get used to it. It didn't take me that long to get comfortable. And I guess that speaks highly of what Maserati thinks of the driver. Now, sitting in the back seat is fine, right? I mean, when you think about the luxury sedans out there, the luxury full-size sedans out there, that's where most people would probably sit. And I'm talking about of course, the German cars. And that's all fine and good. But sitting in the driver's seat, that's what makes this special. I mean, you have a Ferrari engine, right? I mean, I guess that kind of helps. But I think this is where you're supposed to be. This is where you're supposed to be when you're using this car. Don't get me wrong. You can sit in the back seat, think about how much money you have, think about how you want to use that money. But here, this cockpit, that's where you want to be. Since the Quattroporte was first introduced in 1963, 1964, it's always been a 4-door super saloon sporting sedan, right? So when you translate Quattroporte, that literally means 4 doors. And it's kind of strange that a luxury sedan like this is you know, has a feel of a sports car, and it even sounds like a sports car. And that's, I guess, the Ferrari engine again. Let's go back to that Ferrari engine. It makes it really, it gives it a lot of character. It's different from, again, it's German competitors. The German cars, don't get me wrong, fantastic machines, as I said earlier, but they are kind of stiff, right? I mean, the Italians have a little bit more personality. They're a little bit more flamboyant. I don't know if they're as reliable, but it has certain characteristics that only Italian cars have. Ooh, I do love that sound, and it's kind of strange for a luxury sedan to sound like this. You know, you'd think that luxury sedans are quiet and refined, but not this baby. She's refined, all right, but she does have a wild side to her. She's got a little bit of that funness in there somewhere. Wild and a little bastos, but also refined. My type of car. So Maserati claims that this car can go 0 to 60 in just under 5 seconds. Now, I may or may not have tried it because, well, this car is still for sale, and I told the owners I would take very good care of it and I won't do anything crazy. So even if I did take it to test it out 0 to 60, let's just say that Maserati claims it can go 0 to 60 in just under 5 seconds. It's got an 8-speed automatic transmission with tip up and down function from the gear knob and fully manual mode by a push of a button. Or you can just use the paddle shifts, which I absolutely love. It also has something that is called ICE, or increased control and efficiency. So if you're not in manual mode, this is what you would be using. ICE is a function aimed at reducing consumption, emissions, and noise. It delivers a softer throttle pedal response for smoother driving. Maserati also included what they like to call the skyhook system. And no, I'm not talking about Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. That's their suspension system, right? You can adjust it. If you want it a little bit more stiff, if you want it a little bit more relaxed, there's a little button here that you press and it adjusts the how stiff the suspension should be or could be, depending on your liking. It also has a start-stop function, hill hold control, Maserati stability program, acceleration slip regulation, of course ABS, electronic brake distribution, drive wheel locking prevention, pretty much all the bells and whistles one would expect from a premium luxury sedan. Now, I always argue with Kako that, you know, riding motorcycles is the way to go because it's not just about the destination, it's also about the journey, right? That's why we do crazy things like ride to Baguio, have breakfast, and ride back to Manila, right? That is pretty crazy. But we do that because we enjoy the journey. I'll say this though, if this is the car that I would be doing that journey in, I could get used to it. I'm not gonna lie, I could. I mean, she's a hot, fast, sexy beast. So how is this car going to compete with the big three German brands of the executive class sedans? Well, I think it's actually got a shot. Look at that, soft closing doors. And the way it's got a shot is because it's not trying to do things that BMW, Mercedes, and Audi do well. In fact, what Maserati did was focus on two departments, which, in my opinion, they actually win. And that's styling and fun factor. But it is going to cost you, as a brand new Maserati Quattroporte Gran Lusso will run up to 14 million Philippine pesos. Now, this unit is actually for sale. You can contact Maserati Philippines for more information. Now, folks, hope you guys enjoyed going behind the wheel. Now, please do log on to www.AutoDeal.com.ph as well as MotoDeal.com.ph. It's been Jinno. Till next time, peace.